Hey folks, welcome back to another Poem Masters video. So today we're gonna have Colress Klingklang drop, and as usual at reset we will be pulling for him live. So make sure y'all tune in for that. Should be fun, hopefully. And yeah, guys, do enjoy the content, the channel, all that stuff. Make sure to like and subscribe. I also want to support the channel. You could also become a member to get access to emojis, badges, all that stuff, as well as, you know, shout outs at certain tiers. Or if you want, you could also throw a super thanks. But anyways, let's get into the unit over here. So Klingklang and Colress, again, units like these, right? Spotlights, there's not too much incentive to pull for spotlights, right? Immediately, since these will be added to the general pool eventually. So let's just talk a bit about this unit, I guess, right? As for Colress and Klingklang, it's a tech unit. It's a tech utility unit, basically, right? Not much of a damage dealer. It's mainly a utility unit for the most part. And if you look at the base stats, you have passable speed, I guess. It's, although 312 is not like super fast nowadays anymore, but it's whatever. Special attack's relatively high, but again, it's not much of a damage dealer, so it's kind of odd that you have a very high special attack stat. Also, it has Screech, so it's like, you know, which is physical. So like, why do you have so high special attack when like your moves are, yeah, other than Mirror Shot, but like you're not DPS, like your Sync, which he does have a bit of a Sync nuke, right? Like, why is your special attack much higher than your physical attack, where your Sync is physical, and then you have like Screech, which debuffs your opponent's physical defense. I don't know, it's a bit odd. Anyways, yeah, and defense, 205 defense, 192 special defense is not great, but it's also not terrible, right? And he does have a bit of a tanking thing going to him, right? Because his training move has, outside of giving move acceleration, which is nice, but also buffs your defense and special defense by 4, right? So he can be a bit of a tank. He could definitely be a bit of a tank, right? And then as for the rest of the moves, you got Thunder Wave to paralyze, Screech to again debuff physical defense, Mirror Shot to lower the opponent's accuracy, or chance to lower the opponent's accuracy. It's not guaranteed, but you have a chance, and you have a, well, even higher chance with Honor Roll over here, all right? So it should be, what, 60% chance of debuffing the opponent's accuracy, but also has Ripple Effect, so every time you lower opponent's stats, it's like AoE, it's for the entire opponent team, which is definitely nice, right? And then on top of that, you also have Team Critical Shock, which raises the crit of your team by 1 when your move is successful against a paralyzed opponent, which again, you could just paralyze with Thunder Wave, right? So yeah, as for the Sync nuke, it is based on if the opponent is paralyzed, which in this case, unless it's, you know, some stage that's immune to paralysis or whatever, right? It should be relatively easy to do because you have Thunder Wave. So yeah, mostly a utility unit that could debuff the opponent's physical defense, paralyze, maybe, you know, drop some accuracy a bit, could tank a bit, give move gauge acceleration, could buff crit. So it does a lot of utility stuff, which is pretty nice, right? Especially for Gauntlet. He's not going to be that good for Master Mode, right? Definitely not much of a Master Mode unit, but could be pretty nice for again Gauntlet, right? Because of the nature of how Gauntlet works, you just want more units to throw at him, and then, you know, there's a lot of gauntlets that are weak to getting status or / paralyzed, like, you know, Tornadus, right, for example, Cobalion, whatever, right, Yuxi to an extent, and a lot of them also, you know, get hurt quite a bit by dropping their defenses in the long run, because these are relatively longer battles, right, generally. And then he could also take a few hits as a tank. Could also, you know, sub in. He's not a support, so he won't have like support EX, but he does have the ability to buff crit, so yeah, a bit of support there as well. And move gauge acceleration is obviously very good always. So yeah, it's a nice utility unit, man. It's a just really nice bit of a utility unit. Although despite that, I don't think it's like fantastic. Overall, it's not like, oh, this is a spotlight you have to pull for because it's, you know, it's like so good or whatever. No, it's definitely not that. It's not terrible either, but it's also not, you know, really great because yeah, it's a utility unit, and, you know, as much as I love utility units, the thing with utility units, I think this Colress is not, it's definitely not the worst, right? Of this sort of like archetypes of utility units that really just do utility and do like nothing else, right? Because like there's a lot of utility units nowadays. Like for example, if you're looking for like utility unit that could also debuff the opponent's physical defense, it's like there's like units like Dojo Gloria that do the debuffing defense thing even better than this Colress, but B also does like a gajillion amounts of damage as well, right? So there's a lot of units that do utility but also do a lot of other things, right? Mainly damage. So I feel like nowadays if you're like a utility unit and all you do is utility, it's kind of shaky, right? And especially if you're not a support, right? Don't have support EX, kind of shaky. If you also don't have a bit to contribute to DPS, because like again nowadays even like supports contribute like a lot to the overall team's damage as well with their personal damage, right? And again, not to mention utility damage dealing techs. But I'll give this I'll give the Klingklang bit of a pass because it could tank a bit, right? Because I feel like utility, the two things you want outside of that is either do damage or tank. And it can tank. It's not like a crazy good tank, but it could take a few hits, right? It could definitely take a few hits. So yeah, I don't think Klingklang is like an egregious example of utility that just is utility, and once it's done doing its utility, just sits there on your team on the side like doing nothing, just passing turns. So yeah, at least it does have that tank element to it, so I don't think it's that bad, right? I really don't think it's that bad. So anyways, all right, in terms of how many copies you're looking for to make him effective, right? Again, I don't really suggest pulling on him, initially, unless obviously you're a big Colress or Klingklang fan, right? And you just want to go in and just get this, because this is probably your best chance at getting him in terms of 2% rates, even though I still wouldn't recommend it. But if you really want a big fan, then go for it. But yeah, in terms of how many copies you really want to make him effective, at 1 out of 5, he does the basics, right? Does the basics, but obviously at higher levels, he has some other really nice stuff. At 2 out of 5, you have Dizzying Power, which could make him do a bit of damage, but I don't think it's really that relevant to make it like that big of a deal. You have that accuracy +10 on Thunderwave, just so Thunderwave, it's like 90%. There's a 10% chance of it missing, so just in case you can pick that up, would be nice. And obviously the move gauge refreshes, right, are always going to be cool too. You have the MP refresh on for Science. It's only an MP refresh 2 on a 1 base MP move, so the chances of getting MP refresh there are not that great. But I mean, if you only have 2 out of 5, then go. I mean, sure, go for it. I mean, it's not right. I mean, you can max out your defenses and then move gauge acceleration, or if you're using him against like Azulf or something, that debuffs your defenses quite a bit. Once they debuff the buffs down, you could re-up them if you get the MPR. As for some other stuff, Nerves of Steel, Metallic Healing, they are really nice in terms of helping him tank, but obviously that's only in Steel Zone, and this is not a unit that you're gonna run exclusively in Steel Zone. Definitely you could run him outside of Steel Zone. This is not a you have to put him in Steel. No, it's just any like physical unit that wants debuffs, or any units that want paralyze or crit buffs maybe, or even actually debuffs on the opponent as well. It could always help, or acceleration. Again, it does a lot of really nice things. All right, at 3 out of 5, obviously that's where you get the rest of the kit. So you have stuff like Endurance that helps you tank, Team Sentry Entry, right? So that could also help you and your team tank physical moves a bit. And then outside of that, you have a lot of decent stuff. You have a few Sync Nuke stuff. You got Towering Force over here, right? Static Shock 9, so he does have a relatively decent sync. Let me check. It's all right. It's all right. it's not anything crazy, but I mean 4.7 million is not. It's not terrible. It's just that for steel types, you got Palatine's Marnie, you got Kimono Grimsley, even Raihan, who's like he's a striker who gets the like AoE thing. So it could nuke. It's just not anything. It's not anything crazy, right? Anyways, all right. Let's see what else we have over here. Catalyst, helps you with an extra move gauge acceleration. because you're probably going to use this like turn 1 starting off, so by the time of your first sync, the move gauge television will be gone, so that would be nice if you are syncing with him, right? Which again, you probably only really sync with them if you really need something like that like Catalyst, or if you're in like Steel Zone and you could actually do some legitimate damage with that. What else? Go viral is nice. It's not like a huge deal though, because you're not an AoE damage dealer, unless again you're doing it for like your teammate, which would be nice. But on the other hand, if you don't have like too much stuff to do with this unit, once you're done like your main duties, you could just Thunderwave them each individually. I mean, it's nice to have, it's just also like 10 energies, right? So smoke screen could help with the units that need actually debuffs. Infliction freebie, this is the really nice one. Well, I wouldn't say it's like crazy nice, but it's just really decent, especially for Gauntlet, right? In terms of gauges, you get free move next after using status moves, which is, yeah, it's cool. It's cool, I guess, right? But it will be a bit situational depending on who you're fighting and whatever, and your team comps specifically. So yeah, he's totally functional at 1 out of 5, right? Which is a bit rare for spotlights nowadays, I guess. But yeah, it's totally usable at 1 out of 5. Really fine. 2 out of 5, you don't have too much going for you. It's just some quality of life stuff. Move gate refreshes, NPRs. 3 out of 5 is where you get a lot of like your sync nuke stuff, right? If you want to use him as a nuker as well, go for 3 out of 5, right? But again, also if you want to steal nukers, just go for Grimsley or Marnie or whatever, Raihan. So yeah, anyways, I thought I'd move the previous team comp grid suggestions into like these the SYS videos. Saves everyone some time, right? So yeah, anyways, if you are looking for any suggestions in terms of a grid, team comp, lucky skills, I mean, lucky skills, let's start with lucky skills. It really depends on what you're trying to use them for, whether it's a tank or a nuker. A nuker would be crit strike too. Again, I feel like there's always better options in terms of nukers, but Gauntlet, you need a nuker, then sure, you could do that. But if you're a tank, you have a few options. You could go for the vigilance. I don't know why it took me that. What's that? It's so hard for me to say that. Vigilance, always nice. Protect you from crits, or maybe like healthy healing, or depending on the specific legendary Gauntlet stage, natural remedy, quick cure, whatever, right? I mean, it's a tank. For tanks, there's just a lot of different lucky skills that you could use depending on the situation. So yeah, there's that. So team comp wise, I mean, there's not too much in terms of team comps. It really just as a utility unit, it really depends on your team, right? Although if you do want to use him for like a nuker, you could run obviously Palatine's Marnie over there, right? And then someone to max out his physical attack and crit, right? Because you need that, whether it's a Sonya Yamper or whatever else physical supports, Hilbert, I don't know, right? Aaron, they're all fine. Yeah, as for grids, at 1 out of 5, you don't have too much over here. Just pick up some like stat nodes, I guess. HP, if you're trying to use them to tank, right? If you're trying to use them for damage. 1 out of 5, you really don't have much of a nuke, man, honestly. Yeah, just pick up the stat nodes. Need that, pick that up. If you need that, pick that up. I mean, you can pick up everything, but if you're just trying to like save some orbs, if you don't have enough, then just pick up the stat nodes. Ignore everything else. As for 2 out of 5, you could go for the MP refresh. Again, the chance of this happening are not very high, but if it does, I mean, it's nice, right? Screech, move gauge refresh, just move gauge refresh, man. You don't have too much else going for you over here. You can pick up pinpoint. Oh, forgot about pinpoint entry. Yeah, there's pinpoint entry as well, so you don't have to worry about the accuracy, unless it's some stage where it debuffs there as well, right? And move gauge refresh and mirror shot. If you really want, you can go for dizzying power just to do a bit of damage, right? Then you could forego maybe one of the move gauge refreshes, or maybe pinpoint entry over here, or whatever. But yeah, it's or the accuracy node, and you could still keep pinpoint entry. Never mind. But yeah, it's not that much of a DPS unit. Anyways, 3 out of 5. in terms of options, you have a lot more, I'd say. First, if you want to use them as a nuker, there's Towering Force down here, the Sync Move Power Up node, Static Shock 9, right? So there's a lot of stuff you could go for there, as well as a Catalyst up here if you want for, you know, move gauge acceleration. Obviously, you can't pick up all that stuff, but maybe something like this, right? You go for that. But if, on the other hand, you're using him more as a, like, tank, maybe instead just go, you know, Sentry Entry 2 over here, and then see if you can pick up Endurance up there. And as for the rest, it really depends on what specific stage you're fighting, right? If you have Steel Zone, you pick up these two, those could help you tank. But outside of that, nothing else is really, you know, too much. You could pick up, I mean, stat nodes, whatever. Infliction freebie you can't afford, right? So, yeah, I can't really afford too much. Like another move gauge fresh or something, maybe. I don't know. Whichever one you're using, Thunder Wave or Screech. Right, depending on which one you're using, you can pick up a move gauge refresh there. So yeah. Anyways, it's a nice little utility unit that could also tank, which again makes it much better than like pure utility units that do like nothing else. I'd say, you know, can buff your crit, paralyze units, debuff physical defense, all that stuff. All of that being said, since it is still a spotlight, I give it more of a 2 out of 10. Again, it could be useful for Gauntlet, but outside of that, again, not that great of a master mode unit, I'd say, in general. Not saying he's like completely worthless in master mode, but you know, it's generally probably could find better options, and I feel like that's the overall theme for this unit. Like, yeah, it's good, it does this, and that, but yeah, the other thing is you could just find better units that do those certain things that you need, right? I mean, defense debuffs, there's better units, like, again, Dojo Gloria, right? There's, if you want to paralyze, there's, like, Thunderbolt Red, whatever, right? Again, those are limited units versus Spotlight, so it's still really nice if you do get them in the future, but yeah, definitely not something I'd really spend my gems to pull on. Well, I mean, I will, but, you know, you guys, right? To pull on, unless you're a whale, right? So, yeah, anyways, that's for this one. I guess hope y'all enjoyed, guys. Think in the comments down below. Like, enjoyed the videos. We're going to have some more poems. I'll see you guys in the next one, then.